Aisha Glover, Vice President of Urban Innovation at Audible. Really just had the privilege to help lead economic development in the city of Newark. That was informed by my time at the Brooklyn Navy Yard Development Corporation. So I usually like to say that I came here on purpose and with the intent to be part of a city's renaissance, to work under a pretty progressive mayor and really join a community and a city that felt like my own growing up in Brooklyn. And so do really consider it an honor to be working on behalf of the city of Newark, to really be thinking about what our social and economic impact could be. And so now doing that from the seat of Audible as the Vice President of Urban Innovation is really energizing. It's a really critical moment, a moment of reckoning in our city and in our country, and really thinking about what equitable growth and equitable development can mean and can look like, and what the role of corporations is in that. So just really happy to be here. I went to Baruch after working at Morgan Stanley for several years, and honestly seeing the short list of schools that they recruit from. And so, you know, all the colleges and universities that you would expect, a couple of HBCUs, and one public university, and that was the City University of New York, Baruch College. Little did I put together at the time that was for an MBA, not an MPA, but I knew that I wanted to go into nonprofit management and public policy. And so that was really kind of a critical moment along my journey. And I started in nonprofit at New York City's largest provider of environmental education programs. From there, brought that knowledge to the Brooklyn Navy Yard Development Corporation, 300-acre industrial park, 4 million square feet of space, really at the early stages of its own revitalization, kind of going from its peak during World War II, when it literally employed 0.1% of the entire American workforce. And then, you know, hitting a low, and that was over 70,000 people, hitting a low of a few hundred, and really trying to figure out how do we bring those numbers back up in terms of job creation and in terms of the role that the Navy Yard plays as an economic engine for the community. They have 3 public housing complexes right outside of their gates. And so I was really privileged to be part of an amazing team there for 5 years, serving under Mayor Bloomberg, and then my final year that was during the de Blasio administration. And I came to Newark thinking if I can help do, you know, a fraction of what we did in the Navy Yard, really helping to turn it around and become a national model, then that's what I wanted to do. So I came here initially focused on manufacturing and small business, and how do we really create the pathways for those types of jobs, which quite honestly are a pathway towards a middle class. When you really look at education and experience and compare manufacturing to the service sector, it is a far more viable option, but people are kind of dismissive of it, like, oh, okay, manufacturing is old and dead, but it's not, especially not in a city like Newark with a strong industrial base. So that's why I came to the city initially, to really help accelerate that and make those strong connections. I am still working on or charged with what I was charged with when I first came here, right? That's really helping to accelerate Newark's growth, but from a lens of equity. Like, how can we do this in a way that Black and Brown residents benefit, that Black and Brown business owners benefit? You know, I'm a native New Yorker. If I didn't have to buy in New Jersey, sorry for all the New Jersey folks, if I didn't have to buy in New Jersey, I would have preferred to stay in Brooklyn, right? But what I came here thinking was, you know, what protections can we incorporate, and what initiatives and projects and advancements can we make that really put equity at the root of development? So many times we think about that after the fact and kind of latch it on. So, one thing led to another, and now I'm serving as a VP of Urban Innovation at Audible, which kind of feels like all the preceding steps led up to this, because now you have a huge corporation ready, willing, and able to put resources behind this charge. And quite frankly, that has been walking the walk and talking the talk for years, right? So they're not new to this. This is not, the flavor of the month where everybody's now discovered that racism exists and equity is an issue. They moved to Newark in 2007 on purpose to be part of the city's renaissance. And that just resonates with me. I'm like, oh, wait, that's why I came here, right? And so now being able to really focus on our headquarters city, to really be thinking about what it looks like when an anchor institution really assumes its role, right? And doesn't run away from it, and looks at our charge as more of a responsibility. Like, as we grow, how can we not be thinking about the city outside of our doors, the residents that live here, the small businesses that can really be benefiting from our presence? So that's like just a quick whirlwind of how I ended up where I am now, and just the progression of kind of Brooklyn to Newark, and what fuels me. Go where you're accepted. I think we're so used to the struggle and the fight that, where we assume that every space we enter is going to be difficult. And what I've experienced and what I've seen and what I've tried to promote and help further in the city is really a welcoming attitude, right? And so we want you here. This is not like, oh, we want your revenue and your tax base. This is like, we want to help support Black and Latino businesses. We want to help grow and nurture them. We know that there's a space for Black tech. We are investing in that. We're trying to support that and find synergies, right? And so it doesn't always have to be hard. It's hard enough accessing capital and finding space to lease, right? The least you can get is a supportive ecosystem, a collaborative ecosystem that says, no, we want you here, right? And so I think that that's one of the things that makes Newark unique, because we're long past the time of wanting any development. This is more about how do we create an environment that is accessible to Black and brown businesses, Black and brown tech. How do we create an environment that nurtures small and locally owned businesses? We all know that makes it a lot more dynamic, a lot more culturally rich, right? How do we continue to create opportunities and spaces for artists, right? So it's not that's a nice to have and we'll do a public art project, but that it can really truly be integrated into a place-based economic development strategy, right? So that would really be my advice, to do that level of homework. Usually we're doing the homework for, what city is hot right now, or who's offering some, I wouldn't even say good incentives, because the incentives usually go to large scale development projects or developers, right? But we're doing a different level of homework. And I think it has to really come to a place of who's being really receptive and welcoming, and what is the vibe that I want to join and be part of, and what does that ecosystem look like?
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content.